COD fans, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. Sorry I've been a bit MIA. I just really didn't enjoy doing the roster rumors and stuff like that. But now we've got two confirmed four-man rosters going into the 2021 season. As expected, the Atlanta FaZe have officially announced that Arcitys will be joining the three-man core of Simp, Abizi, and Cellium. And then a little bit more of a surprise out of Minnesota. Accuracy and Attach, who had been rumored at one point in time to be going to Minnesota, will now be confirmed going there. And joining them will be Prietahh and MajorManiak. And that's the team that I want to start with first, the Minnesota Rokkr, a team that had a pretty atrocious back half of the year after everything went online. They had a really good hot start. Things got a little bit wonky when the online season kind of came to pass, and then after the meta swap happened, they made the one change that nobody really expected, which was GodRx out and Exceed in. All of that roster was let go when they were able to be let go at the beginning of this Rostermania period. So the signing of four fresh faces to Minnesota brings an interesting conversation point. What is this team going to look like on paper? I know that a lot of people are looking at MajorManiak and Accuracy. Well, they run the same role. They both ran main ARs this last year. But do not forget that in Black Ops 4, MajorManiak ran the Maddox, and he was happy to flip back and forth between that and an ICR when he absolutely needed to, and he was arguably one of the best and most consistent players for the Gen G squad in Black Ops 4. I'm not worried about that role swap up really much whatsoever. The thing that you also have to keep in mind is that Attach has had some pretty significant play time with Prietahh when they were on the World War II years. So there's a lot of familiarity between these four players. And to be honest, this is probably a move that we probably could have figured out a lot quicker considering that more recent history with some of these players together. Of course, Accuracy and Attach have been playing together for some time, obviously with this last year, but of course Attach and Prietahh have experience playing with one another as well. The only player that doesn't have a lot of experience playing with everybody on the board is the simple fact that MajorManiak was in the open division at World War II. He played with Gen G in Black Ops 4, and obviously he's got some work playing with players like Prietahh. So everyone's got at least some sort of a system as far as working together, and this is a roster that I think you can be really excited about if you're a Minnesota Rokkr fan. You've got two very explosive SMGs that have been kind of underneath the shadow because they like to do whatever they need to do for the team to succeed. You've got a very steady and consistent main AR. Accuracy was great during the World War II year. He definitely picked it up with the New York Subliners in the previous year. And then you've got MajorManiak, who has showcased that he also could do whatever is needed to be done. If you need to be play slow, watch long routes, and then hit long routes late, I can do that with a main AR. But if you go back to when he was playing on Gen G, again, he was the Maddox player, and he was doing a lot of work to get kills and open up space on the map when he was playing with Gen G. A lot of the reason, in my opinion, that Gen G were as successful as they were up until Champs. Him and Envoy, I think both, were probably the two key components that I think people are quick to forget about how good they were on that squad. So I'm feeling good about Minnesota Rokkr. I think that the Rokkr team has done an incredible job putting together a team considering they're not bringing a single member back. That's the big kind of hit point for me. This is a fresh team. They had to go out and find players, and they, I think, did a really good job picking two duos from two different teams and bringing them into a synergistic four-man squad that I think could be incredible. The one thing we're missing is what's going to happen with the substitute spot. I don't imagine we're going to hear much about that for some time. I also don't imagine it's going to play too much of an impacting role when it comes time to pick that fifth man eventually. Then on the other side, this is the one that I think everyone knew pretty much from the get-go. We knew Arcitys was going to be leaving Chicago. We had the assumptions and rumors early that, well, maybe he'll go back to play with Atlanta, and it was pretty much all but confirmed pretty quickly on, and that has officially come through as of today. Arcitys will be rejoining a two-man team from United in Simp and Abizi, and coming along for the ride is Cellium. This, I think, has potential to win a championship this next year. Sure, we don't necessarily know how players like Simp and Cellium will function in a 4v4 world, but it's Simp and Cellium. They're going to be just fine. And you got to remember that Abizi did play with Enigma 6 during the World War II year, and they played pretty well, I would say, overall. I can't think you can be mad about top 24 at Champs, considering that it was a little bit of a later pickup for that squad playing through the open division throughout most of it and then qualifying and getting that top 24 spot. But I think this is going to be a pretty nasty team. Cellium is one of those guys, just like MajorManiak we're talking about before. He'll do whatever he needs to do for the team, and he'll be one of the best at doing it. That was very evident from the Atlanta FaZe year he just had previously, in which he was arguably one of the best players at the beginning of the year, and arguably, I think, for a lot of people was and should have been the MVP for the regular season throughout the regular year. So that's good news. Then you've got Simp and aBeZy, that tandem duo of the Tiny Terrors. They're not going anywhere. They were wrecking havoc throughout the Black Ops 4 year. You figure that if the game feels a lot like Black Ops 4, they'll do something similar. And then Arcitys is still one of the best ARs, I think, period, in the CDL. Maybe a couple of considerations to argue with that. You know, your Claysters, your Octanes, maybe even your Skies and stuff like that. But Arcitys has always been a staple. I think this team will be absolutely incredible. Keeping this core 3 from the Atlanta FaZe from the previous year going into the next year, I think makes a lot of sense as well. It's one of those that Prietahh you can get value off of. You know that he could be tradable, essentially. You've got to do that if you're going to bring in another main AR, if you don't want to keep Maniac around, so you bring in Arcitys. I mean, it's just, there are so many good things you can say about this Atlanta FaZe team. The one thing I can leave you with is that this team is going to be a top 2 team again, I think, next year. Even without knowing the other rosters, just based on what this team was able to do in this previous year and knowing their track record of not just playing together, but even going back and taking a look at how some of these guys played during the World War II year and other 4v4 years before that, they're going to be 100% just fine. And just lastly, I think the entire thing when it comes to rating these rosters, I'm actually looking more at Black Ops 4 than I think I am World War II or any of the 4v4s that came before it because of how the game is going to function. The game looks very similar to a Black Ops 4 meets Modern Warfare, and even though you're dropping one member away, you're not playing 5v5, you're playing 4v4 in that world, I still think the players that were most talented in those 2 games, Modern Warfare and Black Ops 4, are going to be likely the most successful going into Cold War. So that's my whole full take. Let me know what you guys think about the roster moves down below. We'll be keeping you up to date and giving you our full thoughts on every team that gets announced between now and, well, I guess whenever they get announced, and we'll keep you guys caught up on any other moves that might be surprising. So definitely subscribe if you have not done it already. Get down there, hit that sub button, ring that notification bell to get notified exactly when my videos pop up. And until the next one, hope you guys keep holding it down. Later. Bye-bye.